Good day, everyone. So now let's proceed to our next topic, which is the moral dilemma. A moral dilemma is a decision-making problem between two possible moral imperatives, neither of which is unambiguously acceptable or preferable. A moral dilemma is a situation where a person has the moral obligation to choose between the two options, both based on moral standards. But he or she cannot choose both, and choosing one means violating the other. So a moral dilemma presents a challenging decision-making situation where an individual is faced with a choice between two or more options, and each option is based on a moral principle. However, there is no straightforward or clearly preferable choice, making it difficult to determine the right course of action. It forces individuals to grapple with ethical conflicts. So next is false dilemma. False dilemmas are situations where the decision maker has a moral duty to do one thing, but is tempted or under pressure to do something else. A false dilemma is a choice between a right and a wrong, unlike a moral dilemma where both choices are wrong. So in contrast to a moral dilemma, a false dilemma is a deceptive situation where a person is pressured or tempted to make an unethical choice even when they know the right course of action. Unlike moral dilemmas where both choices are ethically problematic, in a false dilemma, one option is clearly right and the other is wrong. This creates a conflict between moral duty and external pressures. So what to do when faced with a moral dilemma? When encountering a moral dilemma, individuals must carefully consider their options, weigh the ethical consequences, and make a decision based on their values and principles. So when individuals encounter a moral dilemma, it is crucial to engage in a thoughtful decision-making process. This involves a careful examination of available options, a consideration of the ethical consequences associated with each option, and ultimately, the selection of a course of action that aligns with one's personal values and moral principles. So we have the three levels of moral dilemmas. First is the individual dilemma. Dilemmas that individuals face personally. This refers to personal dilemmas. It is an individual damn if you do and damn if you don't situation. These dilemmas are of a personal nature where an individual faces a situation in which they seem to be in a damn if you do, damn if you don't scenario. There's no easy way out and both choices pose ethical challenges. So the next level is the organizational dilemma. Dilemmas that pertain to ethical issues within an organization. An organizational dilemma is a puzzle posed by the dual necessities of a social organization and members' self-interest. Organizational moral dilemmas relate to ethical issues within groups or institution. They often involve the complex balance between the needs of the organization and the self-interest of its members. So the last level of the moral dilemma, we have the structural dilemma. Dilemmas related to broader societal or systematic ethical concerns. Structural moral dilemmas are more profound and relate to broader societal or systematic ethical concerns, where choices have far-reaching consequences for society as a whole. So we have here also the examples of structural dilemmas. These are dilemmas at the systematic level, such as first, we have the differentiation versus integration, balancing the need for diversity and specialization with the need for unity and cooperation. So here, balancing diversity and specialization with the need for unity and cooperation. The second one is gap versus overlap, deciding the appropriate degree of separation or overlap in rules and responsibilities. So determining the appropriate separation or overlap in rules and responsibilities within a system. So the third one is lack of clarity versus lack of creativity, striking a balance between clear guidelines and the freedom for creative problem solving. So striking a balance between clear guidelines and fostering creative problem solving. The fourth one is the flexibility versus strict adherence to rules, deciding when to follow established rules and when to adapt to changing circumstances. So deciding when to adhere to established rules and when to adapt to changing circumstances. The fifth one is the excessive autonomy versus excessive interdependence, finding the right level of independence and collaboration. So finding the optimal level of independence and collaboration within a system. The sixth one is the centralized versus decentralized decision making, determining the optimal distribution of decision making authority within a system, determining how decision making authority should be distributed within a larger system. So the last topic that we need to discuss is on how to resolve a moral dilemma. So, resolving moral dilemmas. The process of resolving moral dilemmas typically involves carefully consideration of the ethical principles involved, potential consequences, seeking advice or consultation, and ultimately making a decision that aligns with one's moral values and principles. So, to address moral dilemmas, individuals should thoughtfully consider the ethical principles involved, assess potential consequences, seek guidance or input from others, and ultimately make a decision that reflects their moral values and principles. This process helps in navigating complex ethical issues and making informed choices. So that's all for today, and I'm Angelica Piliwag. Thank you.